welcome back. It's Friday morning. We're here. Karen is in the house. We're sitting right next to me, not in the house, the building, the room. And we're going to talk about various things today. We're going to answer your questions. And then a little bit later, we're going to talk about some real interesting data that Karen wants to share on the difference between cancer cells and normal cells.
That's right.
I'll talk about that.
Okay.
But you can chime in. And also, anything that we say is not meant to diagnose you. It's just meant to give you education so you can do research, get with your doctor, and make your decisions about any medical conditions. Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
Okay, good. So Marie's been waiting for about 60 minutes, so we're going to go right to her from Connecticut. Go ahead, Marie.
Hi, how are you, Dr. Berg?
Good.
I watched your video on the multivitamin, so I'm kind of okay not taking a multivitamin. So I do intermittent fasting. I probably eat 1.5 a day. It's a struggle to get in the 1.5. Do I need to take the wheatgrass juice, the cruciferous tablets, and the electrolyte powders every day? And then my second question is, if I was in a minor accident, but I'm extremely sore after 3 months, what nutrition would you suggest to help me? So I am doing intermittent fasting.
Okay. And where is the soreness? Is it in a certain part of your body or is it all over?
In the hips, and I still get very dizzy and just uneven.
Wow.
I can't take the medication they gave me because it makes me sick. It was a rear end and it was very minor, but I think the way I turned my body when I heard the screeching caused more damage.
Okay.
But I've been going to physical therapy and all that, but I'm still in a lot of pain. So I just wonder if there's any nutrition that might help support.
Yeah, usually you want, there's a couple things that actually help flush out the lactic acid that can build up. One is the B vitamins from nutritional yeast, and also vitamin E. Okay, vitamin E is really important. Make sure it's natural, make sure it's a complex. You can even get wheatgrass germ oil, which is really good in vitamin E. But here's the thing, you might want to watch some of my videos on whiplash because when you actually are rear end accident, your head goes back first, and so it kind of rips the front part of your neck, the top part, the deep ligaments. And so you really want to make sure that all the therapy that you get done in stretching is done with the head going in the opposite direction forward, not going back, because that can aggravate things and make you even more dizzy. So I think that will help, but I have a video on some great stretches and acupressure you can do. Now, as far as your supplements, no, you don't have to take them every day. You can take them every other day. You can take them at certain times of the day. It's not that important. Electrolytes can be taken every other day, not a problem. Wheatgrass is nice to take every day because you're basically putting in a lot of nutrition each day, and it's going to just start building up. But yeah, it does not have to be every day. But thanks for your question. And let's go to Tom from Florida. You had a question about a leaky vessel in your eyeball. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Berg. How are you?
Great.
I wanted to thank you. I've lost 46 pounds doing intermittent fasting in 4 months.
Wow. Woo. Incredible. That's
no
incredible.
More Janumet, no more insulin. I take your glucose support and your gallbladder formula.
Awesome.
You're amazing, sir. Amazing.
Wow.
Also, tingling in my feet. I took your advice with the, is it benfotiamine and methylcobalamin, the B vitamins?
Yeah, methylcobalamin. Yeah.
I can't believe it. Can't believe it, Doc. You're amazing.
Yeah, that really works.
I went for the eye test. All was well, except I heard I had a leaky vessel, and I was wondering if you had any advice.
Okay, so this is a good point because one of the fact that you were on insulin before tells me you had a problem with insulin resistance, and obviously probably high levels of sugar, which then destroy the vessels in the eye, the kidney, the heart, and the brain. So probably it's getting better. If all these other things are getting better, that's going to get better over time. But I would honestly just keep doing what you're doing and give it more time because you want to be able to compare maybe the damage of that leaky vessel to something like in 6 weeks or 8 weeks from now to see the improvement. Because when you start to clean up the body and start adding more, especially foods high in vitamin C from a lot of vegetables, hopefully you're doing, that's going to kind of go in there and start repairing the damage. And the main damage is to the vessels, the lining of the vessels that go to nerves, that go to the eye, that go all over the place. So that's the damage. So I would go back to the basics, make sure you're doing high levels of vegetables. That's really the key with that. And then like kale would be good, and also a kale shake. And bell peppers, really high in vitamin C, all that's really good to strengthen the arteries and the veins. Thanks, Tom. All right, Karen, what do we have on social media? Do we have some questions?
First of all, I just want to thank you for allowing me at the big kids table.
You finally,
awesome, right?
so you graduate up to the big people's table.
I know.
This is,
I had, like, what do they call it, wry neck?
yeah,
Trying
well,
to see you over there, so I feel like I really,
you're moving on up
I'm moving on up.
in status.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So, and first of all, there's people from Kenya, Mexico, the Netherlands, all over the United States watching here. But I'm going to take up someone on YouTube. His name is Jerry Birdsong. Loving that name, Jerry Birdsong. He wants to know something about helping sleep apnea.
Okay, so sleep apnea it's really a problem of insulin resistance and high level of insulin. And so you just really need to do the basic thing, which is basically healthy keto with intermittent fasting. Nothing special. And as the person will lose weight, you're going to find that that's going to help things as well, because a lot of times there's extra fat even underneath the neck, which actually can obstruct sleeping as well. It puts pressure up into the breathing apparatuses. So I wouldn't do anything special. I would just do the basics. And that's really kind of like, as we go through this, there's so many questions with symptoms people have. And my whole thing is, are you currently doing intermittent fasting and keto? If you're not, then do that first before you start to add specific remedies, because a lot of times that won't work unless the basic foundation is implemented. Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me.
Okay, good.
Hey, can you do almond milk on keto?
Yes, as long as it's unsweetened, it's totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Good.
This is like awkward moment. Hi, Dr. Berg.
Okay.
Hi, Dr.
Yeah.
Berg.
Hi. We got to give some space there. Got to give some space to talk back and forth. No, I like it. It's just I thought we'd be like facing each other. Okay. All right. So let's go to Brianne from Washington, D.C. That's pretty close.
Washington.
Hey, Brianne.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
So I only had one question, but now I have two, but they're really quick.
Okay,
so
good, thanks.
My calcium level has been in the 10s. So the last time I had my blood work done, it was 10.2. Before that, it was 10.4. It was 9 point something. I just wanted to get your opinion to see if that's high. One time a cardiologist said that it could have been from dehydration, but so that's the first question. And the second, is there any of your supplements that you wouldn't recommend for breastfeeding moms?
Okay. Well, as far as if you're breastfeeding, I don't think there's any supplements that I have that would be contraindicated, so I think that's going to be totally fine. But I have a question for you. Are you taking any calcium right now as far as supplements?
No.
And your calcium
I was taking prenatals a while back, but that was a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I think to help control calcium, there's a couple things that are important. Number one, having your stomach pH correct, because if your pH of your stomach is too alkaline, you're not going to absorb calcium, and it could kind of back up in the system. But the fat-soluble vitamins are really the kind of the secret for balancing calcium. Vitamin D and vitamin K2. Both of those in combinations. I would watch the videos on K2. K2 protects the body from excess calcium that builds up in the tissues and the soft tissues, and also helps to transport the calcium from the blood into the bones. So if you have too much calcium in the blood, it could also mean you might have too much vitamin D without enough vitamin K2. So if you're already taking D3, then go ahead and take K2, and that should actually balance it out pretty nicely. All right, good question. So now we're going to go to Shamika from Washington, D.C. And you had a question about your gums, right?
Yes. Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Actually, it's a one question, but there's three symptoms that I'm kind of confused about. Just a small little bit of background. I've just started keto. I'm 336 pounds at 5'4", so I'm definitely morbidly obese. I started the keto program on Monday at 336. I started the program on Monday at 336, and so far I've lost 12 pounds as of today.
Wow.
And so it's been going pretty well. But the three symptoms that I have, okay, one is my gums. I've noticed progressively as a child that my gums have started they will pull away and they would recede. And now when I went to the dentist, they said that I've lost like a big portion of my bone, and they feel like eventually my teeth are going to fall out, and I'm only 38 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem. And they make it seem like it's something that can't be reversed, but I'm sure with nutrition, even though they say it can't be reversed if I get the right vitamins, I'm hoping that it can.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one symptom. The other thing is that when I had my second child, like again, I was obese the whole time. But after I had her, even though I was overweight, that's when I started getting swelling in my leg. And they said that it was peripheral venous insufficiency on my left side. So on my left, both legs get swollen, but the left leg is extremely swollen, and it holds water the whole time. And it starts going down a little bit now that I'm doing the keto. It went down a little bit, but pretty much now my child is 8 years old. So for 8 years after giving birth, I had that swelling in my leg and my ankles and my feet, and it's pretty much stayed that way consistently for 8 years up until now. It's going down a little bit, but still puffy. And the last thing, which is really frustrating because I don't know what to do about it, I have these sharp pains that feels like spasms that happen. And what I would describe as underneath my ribs.
Which one, the left or right?
It starts mostly on the left. That's the most painful one. It starts on the left, and it feels like a really big spasm or really big cramp right underneath my ribs.
Is it in the lower part of the ribs or the higher part of the ribs?
It's lower. It's almost as if it's at the end of my rib to whatever would be right underneath the rib.
Okay, so I have a
I'm
question.
not sure if that's the stomach. I don't know what that is.
I have a question for you. You ready for
Yes.
this? Okay, the question
Yes.
is, did you have any blood sugar problems or diabetes that you knew of or you know of right now?
No. I've always tested as low blood sugar,
Okay.
although I think this hyperinsulin thing that you talk about, I'm sure that's me.
Okay.
Because all the symptoms,
Yeah.
I've seen all that. Although anytime I take a test, they always go, your cholesterol is normal, your blood sugar is normal.
Right.
It's actually a little on the low side.
Okay,
And
so
I don't see anything medically wrong.
Let's go right into what I'm going to recommend. And by the way, I'm not trying to give you medical advice, but here's my opinion, and these are things to research. First of all, the fact that you lost 12 pounds in 1 week is you just lost a lot of water and probably some fat too. So that's awesome. So you're in the right way. You're in the right pathway. So, but here's the thing. I think that you did, because of your weight, you had high levels of insulin, and they probably never checked that fasting insulin test. It's called a HOMA-IR. That would be a good test for you to do, but probably is going to improve if you give it more time. So I wouldn't take it like in a month. I would take it maybe next week. But here's the thing. A lot of times you can actually have the pancreas working overtime with all the insulin and cause some sensation underneath the left rib cage. If it's the right rib cage, it's gallbladder. If it's the left, it's usually the pancreas. Now also, because you have swelling on the left leg, chances are it's probably a weak heart that just can't pump. But because the fluid is getting better, it means the heart's getting stronger, because the heart is the one area that high levels of insulin will create a problem with. And think about it, when you have high levels of insulin, guess what that's going to do to your blood sugars? It's going to sometimes push it down so it's even low blood sugars. And you can have high levels of insulin and have normal cholesterol, normal this, normal that, but still have a big problem, because this is all like a pre-diabetic situation. As far as your gums go, that's all part of the insulin resistance, because that prevents your ability to absorb vitamin C. And without vitamin C, you tend to actually lose the collagen around the gum. So all you have to do is give it more time and keep doing what you're doing. Make sure you do this with high levels of vegetables, like at least 7 to 10 cups every single day, high quality food. Start doing more and more of the intermittent fasting, and I think a lot of these problems are going to clear up for you. Okay? Thanks for your call. All right, Karen,
Okay.
over to you.
Okay, good. So we have someone named Noah on YouTube who's asking about how much exercise during keto. Do you have an opinion on how much exercise or when to start exercise for an age or whatever? How do you work exercise into keto?
I like to adjust exercise based on your recovery, and that means is like you're going to have to look at a couple factors. For example, do you have weakness within your adrenals? Like do you have sleeping problems? When you climb a flight of stairs, do you get out of breath easily? When you exercise, does it take a long time before you can recover from the soreness? If that's the case, you're going to do long walks. If you're fatigued, you're going to go long walks. So light, low intensity exercise. If as your recovery gets better, you can start increasing the intensity and the frequency. But it's really a judgment call on how long it takes for you to recover. If you exercise and you feel great afterwards, then you have good recovery. Do it more frequent. If you don't, feel like crap and you can't sleep, then you're going to have to exercise maybe once a week until you can build up your recovery. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, good.
Now, what if you have a lot of kidney issues, either kidney disease diagnosed or just trouble with your kidneys? Is keto good for that?
Well, a good reference would be looking up Jason Fung, MD, on YouTube, because he's a nephrologist, and he has some great data on the kidney and doing intermittent fasting and healthy keto, which is exactly what you want to do for the kidney, because kidney is one of the most common areas for blood sugars to affect. So just by keeping your blood sugars low and not eating so frequently, you're going to improve kidney function greatly.
Cool.
Yeah. Good. Are you satisfied with that answer?
I'm satisfied with that answer, thanks.
Okay, good. So, all right. So we have, I guess, viewers from Philippines.
Wow, Syria, Dubai, Hong Kong,
Dubai
Sweden,
again.
the United Kingdom, Philippines, Beirut,
Wow.
all over the place.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and all over the United
I wonder how the
States.
time zones over there.
I don't know, what time is it in Dubai?
I don't know, but let's go to Jason and find out. He's from the Bronx. Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Well, I don't know about the time. But hey, hi, Dr.
Good.
Berg. How are
Hi.
you?
Great.
Hi. First, to let you know, thank you. I've been doing keto for about 3 months. Lost about 25 pounds. Feel great. So thank you very much for that. So, a couple questions. First, they're kind of related. I have Crohn's disease, and I had a bowel resection about 5 years ago. The 2 feet of, mainly the ileus that was removed. So I guess I was wondering how that might affect digestion and what I could do. And then also, I've been taking nutritional yeast, but I've seen other food-based B complexes that have like much higher percentages in terms of the B vitamins. So I was just curious to know what is the difference between doing like a food-based B complex vitamins as opposed to the nutritional yeast? And quickly, anything on Kebi's, because I was disappointed when I went to try to purchase it and it wasn't available. Thank you.
Good questions, Jason. Let's first cover your ileum. Okay, the ileum, if you had that removed, that means you had part of your small intestine removed. That's where most of the digestion, like 90% of the digestion occurs. And when you have that, good thing you have like 30, I think it's 21 to 30 feet of colon there. So maybe there's some extra, but the point is that I think the best way to support your small intestine, if you don't have the entire organ there, is to start taking good probiotics. And the one that I'm going to recommend is called EM, Effective Microbes. I don't have a brand or anything like that. You can look it up online, Effective Microbes, because that's a liquid, non-dairy, and you start taking some of that before bed, maybe a half a teaspoon in some water. I think that'll help you greatly build up the flora, because that's what you're going to need to actually help you digest and maximize that. Now, you also mentioned about the B vitamins. Very good question, because people will look at, they try to go with the highest amounts. But the question is, why do they have to have such high amounts? Well, because they're synthetic, and it creates a different effect. So it's like mega dosage, which also comes with the package, because more is not better when you come to vitamins. You want functional vitamins. And what I mean by that is how it comes in nature. Nature provides us all the different associated parts of the vitamin complex. Like, for example, vitamin C comes from ascorbic acid naturally as an antioxidant. You also have the J factor, the P factor, bioflavonoids, copper, like all these different things as one complex. So don't try to go for the high amounts, go for the ingredients and the completeness. So nutritional yeast is awesome because that way you can, even though it's not high amounts, it's actually natural. And by the way, there's a huge connection between your small intestine and your ability to absorb B vitamins too. So I think with more friendly bacteria and nutritional yeast, I think you're going to come out a lot better. Okay? All right, Jason. Thanks for your call. All right, Karen.
Okay, so people want you to know that they're calling from, oh, by the way, in Beirut, it's 6:20 at night.
Okay.
Okay, good. Surprised Jason didn't know that in the Bronx.
I'm really surprised too.
I know. Bronx, come on. Okay, people from Canada, India, Panama, Alaska, Nigeria, the Netherlands, UK, Qatar, California, Oregon, Slovenia, Portugal. Jeez.
Well, Qatar is right next to California, right?
Qatar.
No, I'm just kidding.
Dr.
No, that's actually
Dr.
next. I
Berg's
think it's
like,
next to Saudi Arabia.
Our
It is next to, it's close to Saudi Arabia.
Our staff member's from Peru, and he's like, that's Mexico, right?
I'm just teasing. I'm very good at...
Geography?
Yes, I'm very good at that.
Okay.
I studied yours.
For years and years. Yeah. Okay, so here's a question from Camilla. Every time I start keto, I get a sore throat, and I lose my voice. My eyes turn red with pressure. Blood pressure can go up. What is happening?
Well, I really think there's something that you're eating that is either you're sensitive to or there's an allergy to it. So what I would do, I would change up your foods and do it that way. If that doesn't fully handle it, then what I would do is I would do a mild version of the intermittent fasting, because sometimes when you do intermittent fasting, you kind of create a little bit of a detox, and that could be what's going on. Now, that being said, if you have a sore throat, I would watch my video on how to do acupressure for the sore throat. Just look it up online and do that technique, and I think that can help you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, you just mentioned probiotics. Colleen wants to know what's the best time to take her probiotic.
Right before bed.
Okay, she was right. Ding, 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 Colleen.
Empty stomach.
Okay, good. Oh, we didn't mention anything about Kebbies.
Yeah, okay, Kebbies, we're looking at probably next week sometime.
For the chocolate.
The chocolate. It's actually sitting there waiting, but we're just having
sitting in a warehouse.
We're basically just waiting to get the connection between our shopping cart and the Kebbies. But we have the chocolate, and
I tasted it. It's dynamite.
so Steve does like
Producer.
Steve does like it.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome, and we also are coming out with something new, which is
a secret.
pistachio.
Or not.
Creamy pistachio.
Pistachio cream.
It's going to be good. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And other flavors are coming.
yeah.
But yes, stay tuned. I mean, honestly, it's interesting evolution.
Oh yeah.
Doing
Very interesting.
ice cream type of things, especially the quality that we're making
Very
it,
complex.
and the low sugar,
Logistics.
no sugar, the logistics. It is not.
It is not easy.
It's not easy.
No.
Yeah.
It's
So we've had some issues with it, and
had some problems
we've had to go back to the
with the
drawing
result.
board.
many times.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for the chocolate any minute, and then you'll be seeing the vanilla again and new flavors.
Right. And that's why I want to talk to Tracy right now, because she
Tracy
is from
wants to know.
Richmond, Virginia.
Virginia.
Hey, Tracy.
Yes, hello, Dr. Hi, Dr. Berg. Yay, me! I got through.
Yay!
First of all, I want to say a cheer. Dr. Berg, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can.
Yay, Dr. Berg.
That's so funny.
Yay.
You crack me up,
Dr.
Tracy.
Berg, thank you for thank you for everything you do. Your articulation when you draw those drawings on the boards and things like that, those things help so much to break down and understand the body and how things work.
Oh, good.
I want to tell you that.
Thank you.
And yes, you're welcome. My question for you is, I'm on intermittent fasting. I'm doing the keto. I've gotten off metformin. I am still on blood pressure medicine and lodipine, which I believe is a calcium channel blocker. So will that affect my electrolytes, or is there anything I need to be more aware of? Because my bottom number, it has come down, but it's still in the 90s, and I always tend to have more of a problem with the lower number on blood pressure. Thank you.
Got it. And then the lower number is your ability for the vessel to relax. And the top number is the contraction. So here's the question. Do you have, are you doing intermittent fasting?
Yes, I am.
How?
Just started 1 meal a day.
Okay.
Just started 1 meal a day this week.
Okay, good. So Tracy, I think with doing intermittent fasting, over a little time, it's going to get better because what you're in the stage now of getting the body to be more elastic. So I think to speed it up, you can take more potassium. Maybe the electrolyte powder might help you with that, but you want to start increasing more and more potassium. And by the way, that has magnesium too. Keep your vegetables high, and then just give it more time. Because you have all these other great changes. Now it's a matter of the vessel starting to kind of come back. And I will say, the high levels of insulin and sugar tend to make the arteries stiff. Specifically, high insulin makes the arteries stiff and rigid. And so by getting off or reducing the insulin, things will start becoming more elastic, but it does take time. So I think you're just in the matter of giving it more time and riding the wave until it starts coming down. Then your doctor can actually kind of get you off that stuff. Because even the calcium blocker tends to kind of has a side effect of insulin resistance, so it kind of counters, but I think what you're doing will be fine. Thanks, Tracy. All right, good. So Karen, I want to talk about cancer. Okay, so can we talk?
Okay.
Can we bring it up right now?
I was hoping we could have this conversation.
Okay. No, this is
serious.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the difference between cancer cells and normal cells, and this is really, really important. Not just if you have cancer, but if you want to prevent cancer. There's some real interesting research out there, and I'm going to interview this professor. It's Professor Thomas. Let's see, Thomas. What is his last name? His name is Professor. Seyfried. Yes, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. So he's like a major researcher in a Boston college, and he found some really interesting things. He actually injected mice with tumor cells. Not just the cell, but the whole tumor, it's called a glioblastoma, which is the most aggressive brain tumor. So he injected mice with part of this tumor, not just like one cell of it. And so he tested, get this, high carb, low carb, ketogenic diets. And so I want to talk about that, but he specializes in keto and intermittent fasting.
Wow.
So it's fascinating because the results were astounding. It's just in the very beginning part, but I'm going to interview him, and I have a lot of questions. But here's the thing. It's really based on understanding the cancer and the difference between normal cells and abnormal cells. There's one very specific difference. Cancer cells have a changed metabolism where they can basically grow without oxygen. Regular cells have to have oxygen. So that's kind of the simplicity of it. So apparently when your cells become damaged from triggers to cancer, radiation, chemicals, stress, cell phone radiation in your ear, all the poisons in the environment, and that can actually alter the cell. And then what happens, the cell adapts with a very primitive metabolic system of producing energy. And it's like fermentation. It's called fermentation. So it ferments sugar.
It's the cancer cell.
Yeah. And this evolutionary mechanism goes back in cell biology back like billions of years.
Wow.
When the cell was trying to exist on this planet without a lot of oxygen. So it's interesting, you damage the cell, it kind of adapts to survive without oxygen. It's called fermenting fermentation of sugar. So that's kind of like interesting, right? So cancer cells cannot live on ketones. Tumors
Now, can I ask a question?
cannot live on tumor. Yeah.
So, but you said they can live without oxygen.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does it respond to oxygen?
The same.
So it's null.
Even if there's more oxygen there or not oxygen, it'll exist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And is that just that one kind of cancer?
Now, it's the common thread with all cancer cells and tumor cells.
Wow.
So now, so basically what he did some experiments and he found some fascinating data. He found that if you put the mice on a ketogenic diet with intermittent fasting, the cancer cells slow down growth. But he found that it doesn't actually kill the cancer cells. And so he had this realization, it was because of this other point that I want to tell you about that's a little confusing, but I want to kind of help you understand it. Cancer cells live on glucose and another fuel, which is an amino acid called glutamine. So they live on glutamine, which is a type of protein, amino acid, it's a building block of protein, and glucose. So then what he did, he gave the mice an additional synergistic thing, which is basically a glutamate blocker, which blocks the absorption of glutamate, which is the most abundant amino acid in a person's blood. So they block that protein, or that amino acid.
Okay.
And with the ketogenic diet, they block the glucose. What he found was quite astounding. He found that there was massive destruction of not just the rest of the cancer cells, but massive destruction of the cancer cells, which is fascinating. So basically, it's an unpublished research right now, but he's going to be submitting it.
How did you get this research?
It's right online. I mean, he talks about it, and I'm going to interview him. But what's interesting is like you have this, the first thing that happens is the damage to the cell, which is in the mitochondria, and then the cancer cell changes its metabolism, and then you get mutations. All the cancer therapies now, well, not all of them, but a lot of them use chemo radiation to deal with the mutation, which is late on the chain of events, not the original thing. So this is exciting because it validates a lot of the things that people are telling us, especially with aggressive tumors and cancer. They're getting better with the ketogenic diet. But to also repair the damage in the DNA or in the mitochondria, you're going to need antioxidants from vegetables, healthy foods. That's why the quality of food is just as important as doing keto.
Right, because you have a problem, whatever it is. You have the cancer, you have a virus, you have a fungus, you have a whatever. You have a problem, but something generated that problem. Something generated the symptom that then you're going to handle. So, the traditional treatments are to handle the symptom or the problem that was created, not necessarily the machinery that's producing that. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Yeah, and Professor Seyfried basically, he states that you can't get cancer if your mitochondria are healthy. It starts with the dysfunction of the cell and the mitochondria. So that just sets up, like even if you're exposed to radiation or a virus or some chemical, if you're consuming a lot of high quality foods with the phytonutrients, okay, that's in the kale and the cruciferous, if you're consuming that, it's protective against the damage. It's when the damage occurs that everything kind of goes downhill. That's all the preventative type things, right? But once you have the cancer, I'm not saying the ketogenic diet is going to be the only thing that's going to help you, but in some cases it will with intermittent fasting, but you might need to do also a glutamate inhibitor or it's called an antagonist. But there's some really great research. I'm going to interview him.
But not that you're proposing a treatment.
No, but it's just something for you to research if you have cancer, but it's also for those watching that want to avoid cancer.
Right.
It's, this is
Strengthen the
another
body.
great thing.
Right.
Okay? So I just want to say that, and now I'll just be quiet.
No, that's okay. Your story reminded me of our mouse story.
Oh,
Our home research with mice. Did you ever tell?
No, I never told anyone that.
Right.
So I actually did, real quick, should we save this till later?
No, I think we should just might as well blurt it now since we're on the mice.
So I went, in my basement I had all these mice, okay, and it was lined up in these different
4 cages of mice.
And I saw I read this out of a book, Paul Stitt, Beating the Food Giants. He basically found that if you feed mice a certain food, it creates a problem. So I wanted to see if that was true. So we fed these mice white bread, whole wheat bread, puffed cereal, organic puffed rice cakes, and then normal mice food.
Like nuts and seeds.
Normal mice food.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
normal mice
Normal
food.
mice food.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And when he says we fed, he really means
me.
I fed, because
Oh yeah, I
you
left for a
started
couple
it
weeks
and
and
then he
I
left
just
town.
called her. I said, oh, don't forget to feed the mice.
With the mice.
Yeah.
So I was feeding the mice all these things. Interesting thing happened. So
let me just, I want you guys to just comment on below, if you're on social media, which group of mice, as far as what food, created the worst reaction? Was it the organic puff rice cakes? Was it the whole wheat bread? Was it the white bread, refined white bread? Or the mice food?
Or the nuts and seeds.
Yeah, what do you think? Go ahead and type it down.
Okay.
And I think what we'll do, Karen, is we'll come back to this after we answer another question, because I'm going to see what people say. I think you're going to be shocked.
Okay.
Hey, Tammy, you're from West Virginia. Go ahead, you had a question.
Yes, I've been doing keto for about a month now, and I am diabetic, type 2, and I tried to do the intermittent fasting. I can't make it past like 11:30 or 12. I feel kind of funny, like my sugars may be dropping, although they're really not. I was wondering if there was supplements I could have that would help. I am taking your nutritional yeast and your adrenal support with the cortisol.
Okay.
And it would serapeptase help any?
Okay, so Tammy, here's what I would do. I would add the electrolyte powder, because that potassium in there will help you greatly go from one meal to the next. But in the meantime as well, before you get that, I would increase your vegetables and your fat. Increase the fat at the meal. That allows you to go longer, and that's really the secret to doing intermittent fasting, especially in the beginning as you start this. So it's really beef up the fat, no pun intended. All right, hey Brandon, you're from Tacoma, Washington. You had a question. Go ahead, Brandon.
Hey, I'm doing okay. It's I've been following you on YouTube for I don't know how long, maybe a year.
Great.
Yeah, you're pretty much inspirational, and more than inspirational. I noticed in one of your YouTube videos you said you're not a big fan of psych meds, and you know, I don't blame you. I've been prescribed psych meds for the past 5 years, and I have a mental diagnosis and history. But with that, I've also been pretty much obese, 241 pounds at 6'1", and I've had a history of hypertension, not at the moment, and belly fat.
Okay.
and so I got your adrenal body type kit, but then I realized I bought the wrong kit because I'm supposed to have the liver kit for the belly fat. Do you have any ideas for maybe how I could kind of deal with the whole psych med thing and all that?
So Brennan, you know, it's interesting. I just, right before I did this, I interviewed a clinical psychologist who is really kind of against these drugs. And I'm going to post this next week, so it's going to be a whole great topic. I think you're going to like that. But in a thumbnail sketch, get with your doctor on when you can come off this, because I'm not going to tell you to come off of it. The point I'm going to talk about is get the foundation and get healthy keto and intermittent fasting first. What's going to happen is your cells are going to improve with insulin resistance to the point where you can absorb more nutrients, especially the amino acids, to start building up the neurotransmitters. The whole amazing thing about healthy keto and intermittent fasting is mood elevation. It'll improve your mood. So I would do that. And then also the supplements that you're getting or you're taking are also going to help kind of enhance your body right now. I think a really key one for you is my nutritional yeast. So that's going to be, you might even want to get the keto kit, because that's going to probably give you some serious improvement. In the meantime, take more nutritional yeast, and that's going to actually help. Basically, it's going to be the most powerful thing for your mood. with some intermittent fasting, add more fat, and I think that'll kind of give you a good start, so eventually you can get with your doctor and wean off some of the meds. Thanks, Brandon. All right, Karen, what do we have as answers?
Most people are saying white or wheat bread.
Okay.
There are a couple of people on Facebook and YouTube that said the puffed stuff. So it's puffed cereal or rice cakes or something like that that we used.
Yeah.
So can I explain? Because I was the one who found these. Or are we going to wait?
You can explain, but let me give you the answer first after the drum roll.
Oh.
All right. And the answer is the puffed cereal, organic puffed cereal. Now, this is interesting because you would think that's so-called healthy. There's two things about puffed cereal, and this is based on Paul Stitt's book. He said that, and he's a chemist, food scientist, he said that when the cereal is puffed, it releases a chemical called alloxin, which apparently is a kind of a neurotoxin. But they didn't do the research.
Rice
I know.
cakes all the time.
I know. And then in addition to that, puffed cereal has the highest glycemic index, even more than white bread.
Wow.
So you're doing a lot of blood sugar issue type things. And so, yeah, the puffed cereal, what happened to that group, Karen?
Okay, so and just to mention, it's puffed cereal, even though it might not have sugar on it.
There was no sugar on it.
Right. But I mean, if people are buying puffed things, they might say, well, I get it without the sugar on it. That's not the point.
Right.
Okay, good. So, so I went down to feed the mice one day, and I noticed that I couldn't find the mice that I was feeding the puffed cereal to. And I moved something out of the way, and I found several mice without their heads.
Oh gosh, Karen, do you have to talk about that?
Without their
That's disgusting.
Their heads were missing. Steve's laughing. This was a horrible thing. So it was like something went terribly wrong. And so they ate each other, basically. And then the wheat guys, the whole wheat guys were next.
Not the white bread.
Right. And they were super fat and really slow, like oompa loompa.
Yeah, and I think I know why. Because in the wheat bread, they use like 4 times as many bug sprays and chemicals because it goes bad quicker.
And because the bugs will eat it, they'll detect nutrients.
Right.
And so they use more crap. Then there was the white bread guys that were slow and fatter, but not as fat as the whole wheat guys. And then the grains and seeds mice, they had these. Oh, and also with the other wheat, their fur was kind of dull and getting funky, and they were losing hair and stuff like that. But the grains and seeds mice, they had these like bright, beady eyes. They were real lean. They were really mobile, energetic. Their little hair was like all bright white and shiny, and
what did
it was amazing.
What did we do with the rest of the mice?
I don't remember that.
I let them go.
Oh,
free
willy.
Into the fields, and of course they multiplied and duplicated and took over the entire city. And that was my fault.
Like,
I'm sorry.
That isn't true either.
No.
I don't know.
But I did let them free.
But that was our mouse research story.
That's right.
So.
And on that note, we're going to go to Shirley because she probably wants to contribute. She's from New Jersey.
Okay. Jersey. I was born in Jersey.
Hello, Dr. Berg.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. I'm fine, thank you. I've been on keto for about 4 months now, maybe a little bit longer. I've lost 20 pounds. I got my blood work back from the doctor yesterday, and I was a little, well, I know you had said that the cholesterol will go higher. I understand that. But my HSCRP was 3.5, which they consider high, but my A1C was good. It was 5.3. Mm-hmm. But so is there anything I can do about that? And my second question is the thyroid peroxidase antibodies were 15. And so I'm concerned about that. My iodine was 50. And my vitamin D was 43, so I don't have to work on the vitamin D. I do have your adrenal body kit. I take the gallbladder formula and the trace elements. I don't really use the adrenal support too often because it kind of puts me to sleep.
Okay.
It makes me a little bit. So that's the the bottom line. Is there anything that you would suggest?
So what I would do is I would go back to make sure that you're doing exactly like I'm talking about with a lot of the vegetables, intermittent fasting, just if that's all correct, okay? I think because your A1C is better, things are coming down. Now it's just going to take time because a lot of the cholesterol, and we're going to do a summit in the fall. We are going to do the summit in the fall, and so we're going to have some really good speakers that come out, and we're going to do, hopefully you'll make it, and we can actually really explain the whole cholesterol stuff, because once you get this, you're not going to be nervous anymore, because that cholesterol that's coming out has to come out. It's in the fat cell, so it has to come out, so it's going to kind of go up. The point that your A1C is going down means that your insulin is going down. That means it's working. It's working good. But the other factors that you mentioned indicate there could be like a hypothyroid autoimmune type issue, in which case, I just did a video on that, you want to increase, believe it or not, cruciferous vegetables to start building up your immune system, and then keep working on the intermittent fasting, and then also selenium, very, very important. Those 3 things, I did a video on that, and because we don't want to tell you to treat a disease, we want to build up and create health for the immune system, and that's really ultimately going to help with some of those thyroid factors that you mentioned. All right, Shirley, thanks for your call. Okay, Karen?
Yeah, so I got a few comments too on the summit.
Oh, yeah.
So do you want to say any more about the summit?
You guys,
the party?
It's going to be the fall. It's going to be gorgeous in DC. Come out an extra day, check out this place, and this is your opportunity for, so we can finally meet you, because I can't see you now. We wanted to meet you and spend a couple of days, a day and a half with you guys, and it'll be fun. We're going to have some amazing speakers. You'll be able to get the new insights, the new strategies on healthy ketosis, all the new stuff, and then also to get the basics. And it's going to be a great time, great community. We're going to have a lot of fun, and it's at the Gaylord Hotel. And I know we don't have any details yet, but we're going to be sending those out next week early. But it's the most incredible location on the planet.
It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a blast.
And so, yeah, I'm not going to say that we have the largest room in that center, so there's going to be kind of
limited
first
seating.
Come, first serve, but it's a great opportunity to come out and finally meet you.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay, good.
More on that later, Karen.
I have a question here from Jan. She's concerned. She's heard something about nutritional yeast. Can it cause yeast?
Yeah, it's a small possibility. It's highly unlikely because these yeast are basically dead. They're dead. They're not something growing that's going to turn into yeast. Where the confusion is that you could have an allergy to yeast or some type of immune reaction that can stir up kind of some itching and things, and you can think, oh, it's a yeast infection when it's just an allergy to it. It's rare that can happen. Most people are fine on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what causes yeast then, Candida?
Well, that's an unfriendly microbe. It comes from the lack of your friendly yeast. In your gut and on your body, you have many hundreds of different microbes growing, from friendly fungus, friendly yeast, friendly mold, friendly bacteria.
So hundreds of different kinds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different strains. And so when all that's working, you're keeping the bad yeast in check. But when your environment and your body becomes polluted and unhealthy, these unfriendly guys, or they actually even can switch over from friendly to unfriendly, they can morph into this unfriendly overgrowth. And you get toenail fungus, you get the yeast infection, because your own microbes are not keeping things in check. That's why when you get an antibiotic, you end up with a yeast infection, because you just killed off the police force. So you have to keep replenishing that and realize that the only solution is to build up your own defenses, not just to kill off the bad guys.
All right.
Okay?
Good.
You satisfied with that?
I like it.
All right. Now can we go to Tracy from California?
I wish you would.
Okay. Hey, Tracy.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm sorry about my voice. I have the second cold in 2 months, and I also want to thank you because I'm new to you, following you, and yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
Awesome.
I have been on ketogenics for 5 months since the end of January, and I recently just started itching all over my face and neck. I thought that I had bypassed the window for the keto rash, but apparently I haven't because my eyes are involved. It's just spread all over my face.
Okay.
My question is, I watched your recent video for the keto rash, and you talked about the bentonite clay and or the bile salts. And my real question was, if I get the bentonite clay, and you said it might clear it up within hours, so do I constantly keep taking the bentonite clay, or the bile salts daily, or is this a one-time thing? How do I take this?
Yeah, good question. So can you first tell me the exact time that this started? Was it last week? Was it a few days ago? When did it start?
It was the beginning of June, I believe, because I actually thought I'm a nurse and I work in a hospital, so I thought I had something that it started on my left eye, and it was just an itchy patch that was scaly and on my right cheek.
And
so
then did this start on the weekend or weekday?
I really don't. It was probably a weekday because I'm only off certain days, so it was probably a weekday.
Okay. Here's the thing with that, and I want to just kind of bring up things and I'll answer the question. Anytime you have something like that, you want to kind of reflect back on when it started and really take a strong look at what happened just before this. Were you working on a patient and touched them and then rubbed your eye? Like, that's what you need to do. Were you in your backyard and working with something with the poison ivy? It could be any number of things. So it could be something else, because typically it's unlikely 5 months and all of a sudden you end up with this problem. That being said, if it is keto rash, what you can do is you can basically take the bentonite clay on an empty stomach for maybe 3 or 4 days, and then stop taking it, and then see if it's gone, and if it keeps coming back, and then take it a little longer. You're just gonna have to play with it and go back and forth. There's no real set formula of how long you have to take it. It's one of the trial and error, because we don't really know exactly what caused it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I was thinking that, I was worried, but I kind of ruled out the patient thing. I'm really careful. And I rarely touch my face because I really have acne or anything. So, and it's spread to my neck, and it is symmetrical on both sides of my neck, and it's going on both sides of my face, and my upper back is starting to itch. It's like it's starting to spread and get worse just from that one spot, and it's going down.
So I would I think the purified bile salt is going to help you greatly, and also probably high levels of vitamin C. Okay, take large amounts of vitamin C. That'll actually help buffer some of the histamines, which are kind of itchy and rashy, and then make sure you have eliminated, your bowels you're eliminating, and you're not backed up. Another good point. Thanks, Tracy. All right, Karen.
Okay, good. So Lori on YouTube is a plasma donor, and she's doing keto and intermittent fasting, and she wants to know if there's anything else that she needs to do on those days or in general to supplement.
I think the best thing would be the wheatgrass juice powder, because that has the chlorophyll complex. The chemistry of chlorophyll is identical to our own blood, minus the mineral. It doesn't have iron, it has magnesium. So that would be a really good blood builder to fortify her. Yeah,
cool.
That's what I would do.
Cool.
But I want to take a call from Abdul. He's been waiting.
Yeah.
Hi, Abdul. You're from Alberta, Canada, which I've actually visited that area. It's gorgeous. Lake Louise. Amazing.
Yeah. My name is Samda Abdul Muttalib. Yesterday, I have kidney problem. Yesterday, I got the blood report. I just tell you the high point. My protein is 88.89. It should be less than 13. Okay?
Okay. Is that
and HCT 0.39, it should be 0.41 to 52. And I just told you that. And creatinine 240 and estimated GFR 25. Okay. And parathyroid 13.5. It should be 1.5 to 6.8.
So,
And urea 14.3.
so
It should
Abdul,
be 2.5 to 18.
Abdul,
Yes, sir. Yeah.
what will be your question? Because I know I can't quite analyze your blood values without getting your history. So do you have a
No,
specific question?
my question. My question is, I follow last 6-7 weeks for your ketogenic diet, and I improved my blood sugar and pressure, all this. But I did not understand what I will eat for. I could not take your kale or other peas. It is a high potassium, so doctor told me restriction for the potassium.
Okay.
So what can I take it?
Okay, so if your kidneys are that damaged where you can't take potassium, I think the best thing to do, if I were you, is I would probably see an alternative specialist, a nephrologist, Jason Fung. You could probably get a consultation from him, and that way he can work with you remotely. He's also in Canada, Toronto. So I think that would be the best thing if you want to deal with your kidney issues, simply because you can't take potassium. And I understand you're caught between a rock and a hard place, but I think that would be your best bet. But thanks for your call. Canada is beautiful. Okay, so let's go to Devi at New York City. Hey, hi Devi.
Hi there. Hi there.
Hi.
Years, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this. I've been doing the keto, and I've never felt better in my whole life.
Great.
And I'm 60 now, and I feel like I'm 40 again. So
wow.
Awesome.
I just want to know what you suggest. I don't want to eat cheese. I've been experimenting with all kinds of recipes, but I don't want to deal with the rennet. And I feel a little better if I do sheep cheese, but I just wanted to know what you thought. Organic eggs and ghee, and that's about it as far as animal products go.
Okay, and you're doing better though, right? You just want to enhance things, but you're a vegetarian for the most part, but you do eat some things.
I only have organic eggs and ghee, and that's it. The rest is vegetarian, and coconut oil and things like that.
Great. And do you do large quantities of vegetables?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good.
So I just want to know how I can get enough fat in.
Right, exactly. So, question: would you ever do cod liver oil or no?
If that would help, I would.
Just that puts the icing on the cake. I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about cake right now, but the cod liver oil, if you get it's called a virgin cod liver oil, high quality, it's really amazing. You'll get all of your fat-soluble vitamins that you need, especially the vitamin A. And then that way, you pretty much, I think, are going to be covered with the nutrients. And then as far as to get your fat, you can do that with nut butters, seed butters. You can do avocados, coconut oil. That's what I would do. Even some high-quality palm oil and the olive oil in your salad, that would be really good, beneficial. If you also make an almond in like a cookie with almond and let's say you do coconut butter and even ghee, and you make these cookies, that could be your fat after the meal. Because we've made some recipes with that, and I think that would be a good way to get your fat as well.
Okay, great. I'll check them out.
Yeah.
And I'm doing all of those. I eat mass quantities of avocados. I just want to make sure I'm getting enough fat because this is the best way to live, really.
It really is. And then do you have any weight to lose? Do you want to lose weight?
No, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine with that.
So that's why you need more fat. I totally understand that. So that is your game now, is just to try to have enough of that fat. I like the high quality, like almond butter with the celery. I do a lot of that after the meal because I just need to keep my fat up too. But thanks for calling. This is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. Okay, Karen. So we're going to wrap up today. Hey guys, I really appreciate all of your questions. You're great. Your comments on the videos are incredible. Thank you, Karen.
And thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you next week.